my topic, the application of iPad in undergraduate landscape design classroom. Why I choose this topic? Because I have learned landscape design in China for 7 years, and I'm interested in education. So I come here and take the IDT. After this class, I do the paper, and I think why I choose the topic with art education and technology. So I chose this topic about using iPad in art education. So today, this is agenda include 5 parts. The first is introduction about the background of landscape design and the iPad using. And the second is research questions and hypothesis. Second is method, and then discussion, reflection. This is a landscape design plan. So we can see it includes hand drawing and computer drawing. After read some paper and the lecture review, I know the iPad have important education potential in the future class. In my learning, every student have this iPad, maybe Apple, maybe Android iPads, and using this iPad to do some design. So iPad is already applied in high art education, and the weakness in perseverance research is not enough. I can't search too much information about this, and all the paper is research the teacher-centered research, just about how to teaching with technology, how to teaching with iPads. In my view, I think the students is very important because I use iPad and I think it makes sense. I have 2 research questions. The first is what is the perception of landscape design on undergraduate students who use iPads in learning? And the second is that the use of iPads in learning alerts the academic performance of landscape design undergraduate students. Participation, I want to know the students' attitude. They like use iPads or not. And the second, I want to know the relationship between the iPad using and the students' academic performance. iPad using will improve students' grades or not. My independent variables is students' participation towards the use of iPad in landscape design. And the second is academic performance of landscape design students who use the iPad to do learning activities in classroom. So these 2 students' participation and academic performance is the independent variables. And the dependent variables include evaluation, attitudes, opinions, interaction, and academic achievements. Academic achievements include maybe quiz or design work. And my hypothesis is the use of iPad into undergraduate landscape education has the effect on engaging students and improving the average score of students' design work. So I think, in my opinion, the more iPad using in class, the students will get more information and how to do design work. And what about my method? I use 2 research design. It's about descriptive design and experimental design. It includes simple design. The descriptive research design, I use the survey to find the participation, students' participation about using iPads. And the experimental design, I make 2 groups and take 1 class. It's about plants, and students in these 2 groups in the 2 groups, the students can one is a country group and another is the competition groups. You can use this to know the relationship between iPad using and the students' academic performance. This is my question in summary, such as how much they already learned and are they interested or not, and what do they think is difficult to learn landscape design with iPad, and what software do they want to use, and what do they think about using iPad in the class. This data is composed of open-ended questions with 60 students in landscape design major. Because one class includes 13 students, so I chose 2 classes. And the second is about experimental design. The data were collected from 2 groups of 30 students. One is the experimental group and another is country group. They will take 1 class as planned and with 3 class hours. Traditional group just use the traditional learning way, and the experimental group, the teachers in this group will introduce the iPad using at first and use the app names 形色. It's an application. We can take photo and use this to identify plant's name and the more information about it. So students can use this to identify plants. Teachers can teach students use the iPad to do some design. We know the iPad and the L pencil can draw some picture or draw plants, make a garden in the iPad, and then students can upload their work to teachers. Learning objective in this class is the know landscape plans. Second is analyze plants design. They need to know is it good or not. After that, the 2 group students will take an exam about 2 parts. First is the 10 simple plant identification question, and the second is one practice identify different plants and analyzing their characteristics. They need to write down plant using. It makes sense or not, what's the positive effect or negative effect. Maybe some flower is too expensive, and maybe some tree is very good and cheaper, like this. The main limitation of my research method is too generative. Basic relationship and predictions can be established between the application of the iPad, academic performance, and perception, but may not be determined based on different contexts. It means I will find the relationship between students' perception and the application of iPads and the students' academic performance. But it just depends on the landscape design class in my university. Maybe change the environment or change another major, it have some difference. Okay, that is my reflection part. So after this class, I found I need to read more paper. This honestly speaking, it is my first writing class. I think this is hard for me, so I need to read more papers about information, the knowledge. And second is I need to communicate and with professor, and I really get some useful information about the feedback. It really helped me. And the last is I will continue the research after I go back to China. I will communicate with my Chinese professor to continue research. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Do you have some question or suggestion?
It is clear,
Yes, thank you.
but needs to be some specification to run the real research, but you can do it, keep working. So, and one comment is the perceptions and the understandings. As you mentioned, the opera or conceptual independent variable. The perception itself is the dependent variable. So you can see the attitude, you can see the student's perception as your dependent variable using iPad, the technology. So you want to see the effects of the iPad on the change of the perceptions
Yeah.
of the students or the understanding or the academic performance of the students. So those can be your dependent variable.
Okay.
That's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.